Welcome to Tea and Talk. I'm your host, Olivia Boughton. Today, I am joined by my friend Scott Tanner. Scott, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you for the invite. I was excited when I got the invite to come to the show.
I'm so glad that you said yes. Sometimes I ask people and they say, oh, no. But I knew you would be a good sport. So before we get talking, let's talk about our tea.
Okay.
So today I am serving us a tea called the Emperor's Seven Treasures.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yes, doesn't that sound interesting? So it is a Chinese tea, and it's a blend of black and green teas.
Okay.
And then it has some rose petals and sunflower petals in there as well, so it has sort of a floral hint to it. And even though it's a Chinese tea, I'm serving it in this Japanese teapot, because that's what I have. I actually picked this teapot up at a little thrift shop for hardly anything. So that's what I've started to do is everywhere we go, I'm looking for teapots, teacups, tea accessories. So it did not have matching cups with it, but you can see the two that I have. One of them, the one that you'll be using, Scott, is quite close in color and style to the teapot itself. So I have a little bit of oat milk and some sugar if you want either of those in your tea. I don't know how you like to take your tea.
Just as tea.
Just as tea. All right. So let me pour you a little bit here. Hopefully I won't spill it all over the place. Okay. There's for you, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Pour a little for myself.
Smells good.
It does smell good. I can smell it as I'm pouring. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I'm going to take a little bit of sugar for myself and give a little stir in there. And we'll say cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
All right, let's have a sip.
Oh, it is very florally.
It is floral, right?
It is.
So I have never tried this before. This is a tea that I bought when we were on our vacation, and so it's my first time trying it with you right now, and I like it. I like the green and black combination. Mm-hmm.
It has very good flavor and taste.
Mm-hmm. So, Scott.
It's a keeper.
That's a keeper, okay.
It is a keeper.
So tell me, where did you grow up? What was your childhood like? Let's hear about you.
Okay, I grew up in the town of Proctor. Mm-hmm. I'm the youngest of 9 children.
Okay.
My father worked for the Vermont Marble Company. There's 6 boys, 3 girls. My mother was obviously a stay-home mother to take care of 9 children.
Yeah, my gosh, that's quite a lot of kiddos.
Right.
How close in age
So
were you all?
there's about a year and 15 months between the children.
Wow. So, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot for your mom to handle. God bless her.
So my oldest brother turns a magical number of 70 this month.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So where do you fall in there?
The last.
Oh, the baby.
The baby.
The baby.
Yeah, but by the time I was getting there, all the other ones were moving out. So
That's true. Right.
That's the difference when you have that many children. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I went to Proctor Elementary School, mm-hmm. Proctor High School, mm-hmm. graduated from there, mm-hmm. and having 9 kids, my parents couldn't afford to send 9 children to college.
Sure.
So I went to Stafford Tech in the afternoon.
Okay.
And they found me a job at a bank.
Ah.
Which sets the tone to my whole working career after.
Yeah. So were you interested in finance and numbers, or was just that was just kind of what was available?
I went to Votech to do, they had this store there.
Okay.
So I thought I would be working for like a department store, that type of thing.
Sure.
But they said they had an opening at a bank, and I'm like, oh. They're like, do you want to try it? You work so many days a week, so many days, then you go back to school.
Okay.
So I tried it, and I worked for, at that time it was First Vermont Bank.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
And I used to put the postage on your monthly statements. Mm. So I used to go to work 4 days a week and go back to Stafford 1 day a week.
Yeah. Wow.
So I did it from 11th grade to 12th. Mm-hmm. Then after I graduated high school, the bank asked me if I wanted to stay on. So I left doing the mail and went to bookkeeping where obviously people who write checks will know what I'm talking about.
Right.
They got all the checks back, and you just have to do your monthly statements, count the checks, and make sure the right checks are in the statement, and mail them out. Mm-hmm. Then I'm like, that's kind of interesting for a while.
Right. Right. Kind of monotonous
right,
after a while. Just like putting stamps on statements, right? You know, there's only so long you can do that.
But they made you change alphabet so you didn't have the same alphabet all the
Oh,
time.
okay.
So they moved you around for the, but I'm like, once you count checks and put them in an envelope, it's the same.
So you were getting kind of bored, let's say, with the same thing over and over again. Okay, so then what?
Then I went to the public and worked as a mail teller, for a bank teller.
Okay.
In those years, they didn't have a lot of mail tellers because bank tellers weren't paid a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But to me, it was like you get to public, you got to travel because First Mile Bank had many branches. Mm-hmm. So I got to travel to Castleton, and you got to see different customers all the time. And your day was never the same because everybody's not the same when they come into the bank.
True.
So I did that for a couple years. Then a good friend of mine moved to Glens Falls.
Okay.
And I said, I think I want to move to Glens Falls because they had a management training program and all the banks over there. Mm-hmm. Where in Rutland, you didn't have a training program.
Okay.
So I was like, so I quit my job, moved to Glens Falls in New York.
So how old were you then?
So I graduated in '84.
Yep.
So I left Vermont in '88.
Okay.
So 4 years. So I was still in my 20s.
Yep. Yep.
And not knowing how expensive it was in 20s because my car insurance was more than my car payment a month. When you're that young, even though it's an hour and something away, it wasn't cheap.
Yep. Yep.
But the bank was very nice to work for. It was a small hometown bank. Mm-hmm. They had a great management training program. Mm-hmm. Sadly for me, because I didn't have a college degree, they wouldn't accept me.
Ah, okay.
So the bank president said, you've worked for the company for a great many of years. We like how you're a good employee and all that. So he made a deal and said, I will pay for you to go to college nights.
Wow.
And I'll accept you in the management training program while you're going to school. So I worked full-time and went to college nights.
Wow.
So I didn't have to pay for any books or any of that.
Wow, that's amazing.
So
that's amazing.
I shouldn't say that I had to pay for the books.
Right.
If you passed class, they paid all your book money back.
Oh, they reimbursed you. Nice.
They reimbursed your money.
Nice. And you passed the class.
I passed the class. It was long days, though, but it was okay. But when I graduated college, I had no debt.
That's
huge.
Yeah, that's a huge thing and unusual.
Very huge.
Unusual, yeah.
And when I went back to work, they got a bigger pay raise because now you have a college degree.
Right, right.
So I was like, this is a win-win. I have no college debt, and I'm getting more money.
Woohoo!
So
you cracked the code. You cracked the code of how to do it.
Right, and they had a very good management program because you had to work in every department: commercial loans, mortgages, marketing. So you were sent around to work in every department.
Did you have a favorite department?
Marketing was fun.
Yeah?
I like marketing.
What did you like about it?
Because you were trying to get the public to understand what a bank does. Easily for them to understand what a bank does.
Yeah.
Because every product was different, like a new credit card. Because credit cards and debit cards, those were just coming out.
Right. Oh, right.
In those times. Yep. So how to get somebody to understand a debit card or a credit card.
Right, right. I mean, I look at you, in the time that we've known each other, and I just see you as a very, you're just a people person.
Oh my God, I love the job as being in the public.
Yes, so I can imagine, that you would enjoy trying to help people understand how the bank can help them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, the bank is going to get paid either way. I'm not here to, as people say, I'm not selling you anything.
Right.
I just think this product, like a home equity or a credit card, could benefit you. And some people say, I don't want it. I'm like, I don't get offended either way because
right. Yeah.
I'm only offering you something that I think you should use, and if you don't want it, I'm okay with it. I'm not.
Right, you don't take it personally.
I don't take it personally because I still want you to come back if you have questions, but I don't take it personally. And I don't try to force sell people because nobody wants to be forced sold anything.
No. And now especially, there's enough of that.
Correct.
Enough of that. Yeah.
And I don't think, this is me speaking, when I was in the bank, customer service was customer service. You called your customers regularly, even if it wasn't about something maturing or something.
Right.
Just say hi, how are things going?
Right, just
And
to have that connection.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
your families who had kids and all that, how the kids in college doing and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that has sort of gone by the wayside in a lot of areas of our society, that whole customer service aspect and like the person-to-person connection, you
Correct.
know. And I think a lot of people miss that.
Oh, I do. I think I have a problem sometimes when I go to stores or places because there's no...
Right. There's no person.
Right.
Right.
It could be a machine only and
just a machine. Right. Right. You're like, hi, how are you, machine? Yeah.
Right.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. And I sometimes think people don't take... there's a lot of people who take pride in their work, but I think some people just do the job because it's a job.
Sure.
I've never taken the job because it's a job. I've taken it because I like the job.
Yeah.
I enjoy the job, and I used to tell kids when they graduate from college, it's not all about the money. I mean, you need to survive,
Of course.
but there's a lot of people who have high-paying jobs who don't like their jobs.
Right.
They're making great money, but are they really happy? Find
Right.
what makes you happy,
Right.
because you're going to do a long career of it,
Right. Yeah.
that part.
Yeah, I think sometimes, you know, especially younger people maybe don't take that to heart because they think, well, I have to be successful, right? And I think in our society, right, success equals money.
Right.
And of course, as you said, you have to survive, you have to live. But the price that's paid sometimes is people's happiness.
Correct. And what you're helping somebody else out, it's how one people take success is differently than how other people take success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I always think people who work in nursing homes, medical, and
my
all that,
gosh.
I mean, that's a...
Yeah, that's a calling, you
right,
know?
that's not a...
Right, and it's not high paying,
right.
you know?
Some of those people, but they do it because they get the pleasure out of helping somebody
Right.
out.
That's right, right. And thank goodness that those people exist. you
Correct.
know? Yeah.
I mean, I'm not anybody, and I always ask college kids what made them choose a profession. Like, a lot of men were going into, wanted to be chefs. That was a huge, I'm thinking, like,
Yeah.
that part, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of chefs, but there's a lot of restaurants, so somebody has to.
Right, somebody's got to cook the food, right?
Right. I mean, the tide changed where you think, oh, there'd be less men in the kitchen, but then it goes back and forth.
Right, right. So back to you in Glens Falls. So you've completed your degree. You have a new status in the bank.
Got my first branch at a very young age.
Okay.
Really figured out I was blessed to have a great staff that had fun and all that. And the customers liked because we were having so much fun, it wasn't so stuffy.
Right.
Because people say, it's a bank, you have to be quiet. I'm like, no, you don't have to be quiet.
Right.
You do not have to be quiet.
Right. It's just people in there,
Right.
you know, just working
it's
like...
not a library.
Right.
There's no... So we had the same staff for the longest time. We used to dress for Halloween. We used to decorate for every holiday.
That's awesome.
Easter's, we would wear those Easter bunny things and all that. And people would be like, start laughing. I'm like, because you have to have fun while you're here.
I agree.
If you're not having fun, then
Yeah.
you might want to find a different profession.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, what are we doing here generally if we can't have a little bit of fun? Right.
So I was also, before I got my manager, I traveled for the company a lot.
Okay. So where'd you travel to?
So my branch, was from the Canadian border to Albany, New York. So every Friday, because I was a fill-in manager, because they didn't have a place yet, so I would say, like, oh, you have to drive to Shazy.
Wow.
I'm like, where's Shazy, New York? And like, so you had to figure out how to get there. And those days, the company...
Before GPS.
Right. Those days, the company gave you I had to drive my own car, but they gave you a car allowance, your mileage plus your pay.
Okay.
And plus a corporate credit card. So it was my choice, do I want to come back and forth, or do I want to spend a night in the hotel?
Right.
It depends on the weather, but I had to go back to college, so some nights I'm like, oh, I have to drive back.
Right, you have to.
I have to go to class.
Right, right.
That part.
Right.
So I did that for the longest time because you knew everybody in the branches. I hate to say this, but you never had a pending file. Because you're only there to cover when somebody goes on vacation.
Right. So.
And if the staff
and then you leave. Right.
Right, and you're like, you leave.
Bye.
So like working in Lake George in the summertime, Boughton landing in the summertime, even though they didn't let you wear shorts, just so you had to wear the suit and tie still.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in those days, they didn't have all the technology like they did today.
Right.
So ATMs and were there, but and cashing checks because not everybody had direct deposit in those days.
Right.
So you used to have a long people line at lunchtime for
Right.
cashing all the checks.
Right. Right. Yeah, the things that we just kind of forget about and take for
Right.
granted now that, direct deposit or, the
Right.
ATM, you just drive up, you just stick your check in and
Or even
that's
taking your
it.
debit card wherever you wanted to go.
Yeah.
Didn't do those in those days.
Yeah. Yeah, to have cash.
You came to the bank for everything.
Yeah.
I want more money out of that part.
Yeah.
And we had lines out the door at lunchtime.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your days you're like, oh my God, it's lunchtime? And they're like, yes, and you have to go. And I'm like, and you look at the line, you're like,
Right, but there's all these people.
right. And they're like, you have to go. And I'm like, so you don't try to think about that. But today
Yeah.
is so different because
Yeah.
everything is technology.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't even have to go to the bank. You can make your deposit just by your own phone and
That's
your check.
right. Yeah. Take a photo, send it. Yep, that's it. Mm-hmm.
The younger generation, even at the bank, when they open their accounts, you never usually see them again. Some of the older gentlemen are like, oh, I don't trust that. And I'm like, and I don't ever try to make somebody
Sure.
forced to do technology because if you're not used to it,
Right. If you don't want to, you don't want to.
Right.
But-
If you want to come to the bank, come to the bank.
Yeah, and then you get to socialize.
Then you get to
right?
socialize, right?
Right. Positives.
Right. And so most people did emails. I mean, nowadays it's done by email and just
Yeah.
texting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's changed a lot in the time that from the time that you started.
From very much time from the time it started.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's still changing. I mean, a lot.
It is. Technology is changing very rapidly. Yeah.
And sometimes I think too rapidly because we haven't mastered that's why they don't want us to master, I think, that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's true, right? I think you just learn this thing and the next thing has already come out and that the thing you just learned is obsolete. So it's like constantly trying to stay on top of things and ahead of the game if that's even possible.
And plus security, you have to make sure the
Yes.
whole online is safe and secure at all times.
Yeah. Yeah.
That part.
Yeah, which is a lot different than when you started out.
Right. I mean, I used to have customers who, there was come in with their parents or even the grandparents and say, well, I don't want them to do the online banking. And I'm like, but that's all they know.
Right.
Your grandson and granddaughters, that's all they know. They don't know
Right.
that you used to write a check. They don't even know what those are.
Right. Right.
I mean, today, they'd still make checks, but they're not cheap to buy anymore because not too many people buy them anymore.
I know. Yeah, I mean, most everything you can pay electronically.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, not everything yet, but most things,
And when I was there, there's still a shy to people who said, oh, I want to write a check.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we can order them for you.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get as many as what you used to get for it's gonna
Right.
be that part. Just so you know, you're not going to get that box like you used to get,
Right. Much less.
much less.
Yeah.
But those people who like the check writing,
Yeah.
good for them. I mean,
Yeah. Like that physical
thing, here you go,
exchange.
you can have it, right. Because
Yeah.
they didn't want to do the debit card.
Yeah.
I remember my first time giving my mother a debit card. Because she used to go to the store and bring the check with her.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mother, you don't have to do that anymore. Just swipe your card.
Yeah. What was that like?
She was like, well, how do I know it goes through? I'm like, it will go through. Just watch. It would just.
Did she trust you because you were kind of in the know?
And the bank, right? And plus, she was also a customer at the bank. So
Okay.
I
So
could look at.
right. And so you gave her probably more confidence
Right.
than if you weren't a banker.
Right. But she would never do the computer that part.
Okay.
But I'm like, oh, if you get to, instead of writing a check and holding the line up, you just have to swipe and go.
Right. Right. Because when you write a check at the grocery store, that's a whole thing. That's a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And now they give it back to you because it just scans it gives it back to you. I'm like,
Right. We don't want this. Right.
Right.
What are we going to do with it? Right.
and some people the first time probably like, why am I getting it back? And I'm like, well, they've already just scanned it.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's the same thing happened at the bank. And when we had the attack on the Twin Towers, in those years, whenever a customer came to the bank and made a deposit or made a payment, all that transaction paperwork used to be sent somewhere to be run through a proof department.
Ah.
After 9/11, because the airplanes weren't going up,
Right.
all that stuff sat at the bank.
Wow.
Then the government said to the banks, you have to get more technology where this stuff can move electronically.
Wow.
Then we didn't
Right.
have couriers anymore.
Right. Wow.
So we kept the transaction for so many months.
Yep.
After that, then it would be shredded.
Wow. Wow. So just think about that since
9/11,
9/11, 2001, how much that
Changed.
the way that banking was done.
Correct.
Wow.
We didn't have, people didn't even have to bring deposit tickets in.
Right.
You could just swipe your debit card through the machine and say which account do you want to go into, and we would do it.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, we didn't even have normally withdrawal slips and all that.
Yeah.
You could just electrically sign and say, here's my money.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was an advantage. Sad that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nobody wished that on anybody, but it forced technology.
It forced technology. Do you think that that was one of the biggest changes that you've seen over your
banking?
time? Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, because you don't have couriers coming, and you don't have to worry about
Yeah.
somebody like, oh, they're late. Where are they? Because this has to go to a proof department. Somebody has to run all this stuff.
Right. By a certain time.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
to get it done.
Yeah. Wow.
And I remember when they first installed ATMs. Mm-hmm. That was amazing. People, like, when you could drive up to an ATM.
Yeah. Right. Like blowing people's minds that you could just
Right, put a card
put
in
a
there.
card in, push some buttons, and money
And
would come out. Like cash
Yeah,
would come out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I also could put my deposit in there.
Right.
And
Right.
some of the younger generation was like, okay, because they were willing to try it. Some of the older generation would be like, you would have to go outside and say, here, I'll do it with you. I'll let you do it, but I'll tell you if you're doing it right or wrong.
Right.
If I don't
right.
say anything, you're doing it right.
Right.
If you do something wrong, I'm like, don't do that. That's not what you want to do. And they don't let you make a mistake anyways.
No. The machine will tell you.
Right. You can't take this much money out because it doesn't.
Right.
Like most of them are like anywhere from $300 to $500 anyways.
Right. You have a limit.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you try for more, they're gonna be like, try again.
Nope.
Then some people get mad, like, why isn't it doing that? I'm like, because you're asking for too much money.
Right.
If you want that much, go back inside.
Right. Go see a
So-
person. Go
So
see a
people
person.
can go 7 days a week, 24 hours a day to an ATM.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anywhere.
Exactly. Anywhere. Right. It doesn't have to be your bank even.
Right. You can
right.
go to anywhere in the world, you can take it.
Yep.
Because when I travel, I've used an ATM in Europe and all that.
Yep. Yep.
And people say the money comes out differently, but it's still money.
It's
but
still money,
Right.
right?
I'm like, I think I could get a lot of money for what I asked for, but there's this, based on the valuation and all that,
That's
the
right.
currency. So I'm like, wow,
right.
this is a lot of money.
That's right. So how long were you in New York State, in Clemson?
12 years.
12 years. And then what brought you back to Vermont?
I met my husband. Mm-hmm. So if I wasn't...
Your other half.
Yeah, my other half. That's the only reason I moved back. Because I liked Glens Falls. I had an apartment,
Yep.
house that I got rid of because I knew.
Yep.
I liked my job.
Yep.
We had great staff. I loved the company that I worked for.
Mm-hmm.
It was so much fun there. Mm-hmm. But when you meet somebody, I was like, oh.
Yeah. 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 Right. Life.
Life moves on.
Yep. Life happens.
And I was lucky enough that the bank that hired me, which was Key Bank,
Mm-hmm.
had a branch in Hannaford's,
Oh.
where Hobby Lot is not where Big Lots is. Ocean State Job Lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Where they are now.
Right. The original Hannaford
Hannaford
location here in Rutland.
Right.
Yes. Mhm.
And I never done in-store branch. I've only done traditional branch.
Right.
So in-store is totally different then.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Because you have to do PA announcements.
Oh my gosh.
You have to go out in the aisles.
Wow.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But
How long were you there?
Not even a year,
Okay.
because they needed, something happened to the manager in Rutland.
Okay.
So they asked me if I wanted that branch.
Yeah.
And eventually the one in the in-store closed,
Yeah.
that part. But people used to drop the deposits off, or can you open a CD while I'm shopping?
Wow.
And so when you were done, you went to find them in the aisle, or they would come to,
Right.
after they checked out and gave them the
Right. Really, really one-stop shopping.
one-stop
Yep.
shopping. Loved it. Obviously, something between, I didn't work out, I have no idea. But there's you don't see a lot of those anymore.
No.
And you had to work long hours.
Yeah, I was going to say, right, because in a traditional branch, right,
Exactly.
9 to 5,
Right.
right, mostly. But a supermarket, right, people are there early, late, right?
And we were open on Sundays.
And you're open on Sundays, right?
We
Wow.
did 7 days.
Wow. So that is quite different.
It is different.
You know?
When I lived in New York, the company I worked for there opened a branch in Clifton Park, and like in a strip plaza mall.
Okay, yep.
And that one was open 7 days a week.
Wow.
I'm like, we're open 7 days a week? So it was under contract for the year. We had to open 7 days a week for a year.
Wow.
Sundays, I was amazed. Sometimes you had people, sometimes you did. Some people would come after church,
Sure, yeah.
But then sometimes you're like, wow, that's not very busy today, but
Yeah.
they did it for a year.
Yeah.
After that, they were Monday through Saturday.
Yeah.
Because how many people really go to the bank on a...
Yeah, I think, well, and I do think that, most people are used to
No.
not having a financial
Financial
institution
institution
open
open
on
on
a Sunday. So it's like you kind of just plan your day around Monday through Saturday, right? Saturday morning,
Correct.
right?
And they didn't send help, so the people who worked in that branch had to figure out 7 days. I mean, so,
Oh, so you didn't-
you might have gotten Tuesday off plus Saturday
Right.
because somebody had to work.
Right, so you'd have creative scheduling.
Creative scheduling. Right. Some people, I'm like, well, this is, I mean, you
Yeah.
may move to a different branch, but I'm not saying the bank would eventually make everybody, but I don't know. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was tough the first Sunday. You're like, well, this is.
Right, this is strange.
Right, because some people come in and say, like, oh my God, you guys are open. I'm like,
Here we are.
Especially if you had to work back on Monday because you were like, oh, it's Sunday, now I have to go back to work.
Right, yeah.
You
and
didn't
then
get the weekend.
Right, right.
Because
right.
nobody usually got like a Monday and Tuesday off.
Yeah, yeah. That's not traditional banker's hours, right?
No.
Everybody says, oh, banker's hours, yeah.
Right, they're not traditional.
No.
And I remember days working in my office on Friday nights until 7 or 8 o'clock
Yeah,
because it was busy.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, if you had good customers and all that, loans
Yep.
and all that,
yeah.
and you get more done when nobody's there.
This is true, right? When you have that quiet time, right?
Or you did your employees' evaluations and all that
Yeah.
without anybody, you don't have to answer the phone or that
Right,
part.
right.
Because
Yeah,
I didn't take that stuff home and do it.
yeah.
They didn't give you laptops to take home in those years to take home
Yeah.
and do that stuff. Like
Yeah.
today, they would now, here, you take it home with you.
Right,
And I
right.
don't want to do that either, but
I know, right? Sometimes it's good to have boundaries, right?
Right.
Work is at work and home life is home.
but I think working for a bank helped me to understand, oh, I want to be like that person. They saved money. They're a good person. Or that person, I'm not saying that, but those people, maybe couldn't save money because they have kids or whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it really gave you the balance of like how to budget, all that stuff. Because I
right.
probably would have never thought about that until I worked for a bank.
Yeah, it's interesting that, that you ended up going that route not because you felt a real draw to it, but just because of life circumstances, and that you learned a lot from it. You've been, I think, very helpful to people that you have been fortunate enough to be your clients, it's interesting how you've taken that life circumstance and made it something really meaningful and worthwhile.
Oh my God, I loved it.
Yeah.
38 years I did 38 years and never said to myself, oh, I should get out of this or try something different.
That's so
Never
nice.
said like, this is not what I want to do.
That's really nice.
And I've never got to the point where I say, I don't want to go to work. Because once that happens, then you're like, choose another profession.
Yeah, something else.
Right, because that's not going to
Something else. Yep.
last for that way.
So our time is almost over. I can't believe it. This has gone so quickly. So I want to ask you, you've worked in some different places, lived in different places. Tell me what it is that you love about the Rutland area, this area of Vermont.
Well, because I was born and brought up here, so you know where everything is and all that. There's
Yeah.
still people here that I know from even moved away who never left. You're close to everything, technically. You're not very far. You know the weather, and the weather's the weather. It's the same thing in Glens Falls it is here. When
true.
people move from a different state, and I'm like, you've never what the weather's like? No, I came from Florida. I'm like, you're gonna have it tough this time.
Yeah, right. Buckle up.
It's a well-rounded. It's a city, but there's plenty to do if you. I'm an outside person. I like to be outside, so I don't mind. The winter, people say it's cold. I'm like, I still walk or jog in the winter. It doesn't bother me. I do it year round. I'd rather be outside than being. I don't want to be where it's hot, but you have to be AC to AC all the time either.
Yeah.
I like the seasons. I like the change and all that.
Yeah. It's a beautiful place here.
It is. When I look out my kitchen window, I'm looking at Killington and Pico and Killington.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have nature all the time around you. Because I moved back, so
I know, right? And
I didn't think twice about turning. It was like, here I am.
Yep. Again, not in the plan, but
Right.
life.
Right. You adapted in that part.
Yep.
And it actually helped me in my profession because I knew some of the people when I moved back.
Yeah. That's so it was meant to be.
Right.
It's just meant to be. It's meant to be. Well, thank you so much.
No, thank you for inviting me. It was
for
fun.
coming on. This was great. I feel like I've learned so much about you, and it's been just a joy to sit here and chat with you.
And we only touched a little bases of it, so life is.
I know.
There's another whole more we could do, but.
I know. In a half an hour,
Right,
we can't
right.
cover everything. But thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For being here, and thank you for watching. And I'll see you next time on Tea and Talk.